Yeah. The only thing is I have my agenda on my phone, and so I haven't got the agenda. I can't get it. I can't seem to get the agenda up on. Oh yeah, I can now. I have to leave. I have to leave you for a minute. But right.
I have a message saying this live event will begin in a few minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. You are now live.
I'm going to come back on me. I'm going to. Oh, I can't. I'm going to try and come back on me.
Leave your phone connection, Pat, so you can hear us.
Yeah. It wants me ID though. Oh, dear. Keeps coming up with wanting the ID now. Right. Okay. Right. Should we start? Okay.
Apologies for absence.
Right. Yeah. Apologies. Number one, apologies for absence. Welcome, everyone. Sorry about this. My rotten laptop. Any apologies for absence?
Councillor Crooks.
Right. Is there any other apologies for absence? I
No.
think that's the only one, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. Right. Okay. Item 2, declarations of pecuniary interest and request for dispensation.
None.
None. Right. Okay. Item 3, minutes of previous meeting. May I sign this as a true record? All those in favour, please show.
Pat, 1 second. Come just point something out. The declaration of interest. It probably shouldn't say. What does it say? Interest in item ? Question mark.
Sorry, I'll amend that.
Thank you.
Chair, can I let in Sarah Wardle and Chris Scatland from Redrow Homes?
Oh, right. Okay. Hello, Sarah.
Well, I'll let them in.
Yes, you can. Yeah. Tell me when they're in.
They're joining now.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
They're both just connecting to audio at the moment. Yeah, you should be able to speak to them now.
Hello, Chris. Welcome to the meeting, the planning meeting.
Good evening.
I'm having trouble. I'm on my phone at the moment. I'm having trouble with my laptop. So you'll have to bear with me. I might be swiping from one to the other. I can see you. I have to keep swiping or whatever on my phone.
No problem.
Right. Have we got Sarah? Sarah, it sounds like she's not video, but oh, here you are. You're right. Hello, Sarah.
Just on mute.
I'm Pat Hanlon, chair of planning committee.
No,
Okay.
good evening.
Just on item 3 now. Right, let's go back.
So it's just pointed out that the minutes need to be amended slightly, but other than that, we're walking through the minutes. So page 117, Pat.
Okay, right. I'm just going to the item 4, which is matters arising now from those minutes.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we didn't get the minutes approved. We need a proposal.
Oh, no, that's right.
I missed that.
Yeah. Okay, let's go get me video back. I'm swapping from the pages because I normally have my agenda on my phone, so I have to keep swapping around.
So subject to the amendment, we need a proposer.
Okay.
Liz Smith and seconder Bree.
Right, can I proposer and a seconder?
Yeah, we've done that. Thank you.
All those in favour, please show.
Thank you.
I'm on my laptop. That's why you're getting the sound. I don't think. No, I'm going to have to close that down because I can't hear anyone. Can you speak, Vicky?
Yes, of course. I'll carry on. So number 4.
No, it's all right. It's all right. I'll carry on my phone.
We've got feedback, Pat.
Yeah. That's why I'm closing it down.
Okay, so number 4, matters arising from the minutes. Page 117. Page 118. Page 119. Okay, that's done. Do you want me to carry on, Pat? I think we've lost him for a minute. Right, so item number 5, DC 19-1019. It was to note that an appeal has been made to the Secretary of State. Is that noted?
Yeah, was we writing a letter, or from what you call it, but they're making representation on this.
I think you can make a representation as a councillor.
I'm trying to think, but I can't remember. I think Tony might have put it forward at another meeting that if they did put it to appeal, that we would make representation as a town council.
Okay. Tony?
Yeah, I think that's correct. I think based on our representations at the planning meeting, we should basically send something forward to the appeal. I think that was decided at some stage. I mean, just for clarification, do you think we should propose another vote on that, or yeah?
So it's restating our objections.
Exactly. Yeah. As based on our comments at the original planning meeting.
Okay.
Vicky, can you hear me?
Yes.
Right. Shall I come back then?
Yep. Sure.
Right. Okay. Right. Can we have a proposer and a seconder to that, please?
Tony. Second, Liz.
Councillor Liz Smith. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. All those in favour, please show.
Thank you.
Okay. Right. Item 6 for members of the public to speak. Have we got any members of the public, Vicky?
Not that I can see.
Right. Okay. Item 7, to consider planning applications to West Suffolk Council. Should we, as we got the 2 people representing Redrow, should we have Redrow first?
Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah. Are we okay with that? All members, are we? Just nod or say yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Right. Next one, I've got to go up a bit. Right, it's DC 20/1940 RM. This is submission of details of reserved matters. Appearance, landscaping, layout, scale of 503, but mind you, I think that's been changed. Dwellings, parcels A1, A2 and A8. Okay, this is land North East Averill, Willesden Road, Little Ratting. Okay. Does any member want to speak? Councillor John Burns.
I didn't know if you could see us or not. That's fine. Just let you know. Hi, Chris and Sarah. Thanks for
I didn't realise you were here tonight, so that's good. I spoke to Penny Mills this morning, who's the planning officer for Great Willsey. Just to give you an update, and hopefully Chris and Sarah might be able to answer this question because Penny didn't know it anyway. The latest update is I understand there's questions regarding the underground cables. There's some queries about the routing of it to go underground, which is obviously in relation to this. Penny is hoping, if all goes well, that this will come before development control on the 4th of August. Or maybe the 3rd of August. 3rd of August, yeah, she mentioned 4th, but I don't know why she said 4th, but anyway. And obviously we got to talk about construction management and everything else like that. The question I had for her this morning, and I have to say I'm working my way through these several hundred documents there are there. And I know some of them are obsolete and everything. And I would like to thank I don't know who it was. Oh, that one, whichever it was. Yeah, Harriet, who did the Bidwell's one. Yeah, Harriet, who did the Bidwell's. They did this document showing all the changes that come in. And I was really pleased to see that, particularly where it mentions things like national space standards and all this sort of stuff. The simple question at the moment was, are there any bungalows? Or are the houses determined to be, what do they call it, lifetime side of things? Thank you.
Chris or Sarah, do you want to come in on that?
I can do.
Okay.
Can you hear me, Pat?
Yes, I can, yeah.
Good evening.
I can see you as well. I'll keep swapping backwards and forwards, but I can see you as well.
Okay. Councillor Burns, John, in answer to your question specifically, there are no bungalows proposed as part of the revised housing mix. Specifically regarding lifetime homes and standards, I'll come back to you shortly if I may. Just on that, I want to double check my answer because I believe we're guided by the planning permission in terms of what we need to accord with here. So I do just need a minute or so to double check that.
Okay.
Would it be useful for the rest of the committee? Because I know, Councillor Burns, you've been going through the application in some detail. Does the rest of the committee want a synopsis of the revised submission, or are you content just to discuss it based on the submission made?
I think that would be useful.
Yeah.
To be honest, yeah.
Everyone nodding?
Do you want me to show the plans, Chris?
Say again, sorry.
Do you want me to show the plans?
Could you? Thank you.
I do have the plans. If you permit me to share the screen, we can go through the parcels if that's all right.
Thanks.
Oh,
yes, please.
I think you've got to make me a host to do that. I did send it to you, Vicky, so you might be able to do it yourself. Otherwise, you'll have to give me permission on the Zoom.
You should have permission. You try sharing, it should work.
Brill, thank you.
Oh, thanks, Sarah. Okay. Right, you're happy to control those, Sarah, are you? As I talk through?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Okay, so we've just collated together the coloured site layouts for each of the 3 plot parcels and the coloured landscape sort of master plans, if we can call it that term, for each of the 3 parcels. So we can zoom in and out if you want to check any of the details. So just to frame what's been submitted and what you're being asked to consider. So Redrow submitted an application for the housing on parcels, reserve matters application for the housing on parcels A1, A2 and A8 back in September. Following that, we've met with officers from the district and the County Council Highway Authority twice in October and February. And we've also presented to your Town Council Planning Committee back on the 22nd of October. That was in relation to our original September submission. And then we actually came back and updated a cohort of your members back on the 10th of March, including Councillor Burns, just pre-COVID lockdown, if you can all remember as far back as that. It was a morning briefing. And essentially the amended submission that we made on the 26th of June encapsulates a whole sort of raft of changes that have been fed through to us and consultation feedback really between October and March. We then sort of paused for 2 months whilst many people on the design team, including myself, were placed on furlough. And when we came back beginning of June, we spent the next 3 weeks just tidying up this resubmission. The application's accompanied by a cover letter from Bidwells, signed by Harriet Wooler, which is designed to provide headlines of the principal design, layout, highways, affordable housing and landscape comments that we received and how Redrow have responded to them. So that's quite a useful cover letter. And then we were asked by Penny Mills to provide with the new submission what in old money would be called a design and access statement, but really it was a document designed to take the reader through the genesis of this reserve matters application all the way back from the first pre-app meetings that we had with Penny and her colleagues, and probably based on earlier informal meetings we had with the Town Council, really looking at very early options for these parcels, and then taking us through, okay, a snapshot in September and a snapshot now and what's changed and why. So that document prepared by Pegasus has been appended to this submission. And a few highlights really. The headlines are that the total quantum of development that we're seeking under this reserve matters has now nudged down to 499 units. And that's really as a consequence of us having to respond to sort of increasingly onerous highway requirements, which I'll come on to, making sure that we've got the right housing mix and the right size gardens for the size of houses we're plotting, making sure that we've got the right amount of space at the front of houses to provide appropriate quality streetscapes, and looking really at the character and quality of those streetscapes. By nudging down to 499, I think our original submission was at 503 units. It's just in particular in parcel A8, which is the highest density parcel as determined by the outline parameter plans. It's just enabled us to get certain parts of that layout working a little bit more successfully. Where there were little issues, little niggles, it's just enabled the layout to get resolved a little bit more successfully. So taking us through each parcel, in terms of headlines per parcel, parcel A1 really has been the most resolved parcel for the longest period of time. It's 62 units. It's the parcel immediately fronting the Haverhill Road. It's going to be the first parcel that we develop with the green space spine route and stormwater pond in the green wedge next to that parcel, next to the entry spine road. It's a mix of predominantly detached 3-4 bedroom units, and the parcel's been shaped and designed around a small pocket park area, which has had quite a lot of input in terms of the landscape design for that, making sure you can get to it by foot easily, that it's permeable on all sides. You can get into the pocket and out of the pocket by bike, by foot, as safely as possible, north, south, east, west. And really it's been about fine-tuning the parking, the streetscapes, the front gardens, the domestic landscaping of this parcel. If we just toggle over to slide 2, please, Sarah. This has hollowed out the housing units into sort of white sort of sugar cube spaces, but it's really just giving you a sense of how many new trees are going into this parcel around the perimeter and in the heart of the parcel around that pocket park. There's been a big tension with the Highway Authority. We've wanted to put more trees into the scheme, but there's an inherent conflict in terms of how close you can, or how many trees you can have in proximity to the internal estate roads if we want them to be adopted by the Highway Authority, and principally that internal infrastructure we do want to be adopted for public maintenance. It serves a sufficient quantum of units to have a public utility to it. So we've come up with what we hope is a compromise, and some enhanced details have gone in with this application to show how we will put trees close into the streets in specially engineered tree pits. And there are different designs of tree pits, and those are clearly marked so that there are different size and engineered tree pit details for different trees, depending on their proximity to the highway. So all of that detail is in with the landscape drawing pack. If we move on to A2, A2 has been modified most aggressively, aggressive is the wrong word, most substantially to the southern half of the parcel, where one of the issues that we were asked to address was to provide more variety in what the council calls streetscapes. That's a greater variety in the collection of types of houses and design, more distinguishable areas of character and sub-character. So the northern elements and areas of parcel A2 will have a very strong sort of sense of design and layout, which are akin to the plots in parcel A1 to the west. As you come south in parcel A2, you'll see a greater variety of and utilization of semi-detached and smaller terraced forms to provide a little bit more variety to the street scenes, the roofscape, and the types of streets and spaces that you're getting. Again, a pocket park at the heart of the scheme. And if Sarah just goes forward to the landscape plan that sits behind it, again, you can see where we've been able to get trees into that parcel. Lots of work with the Highway Authority on A2 because of their insistence that from a highway perspective, we put in what they call these additional parallel private drives adjacent to the principal streets that run through this parcel, to remove the amount of private drives, householder private drives that would have direct reverse access onto the principal streets. That's to make sure that they operate effectively and that people aren't stopping on those roads whilst people reverse their cars off. So we've worked very hard through A2 to get these parallel private drives added along all of the principal streets, coming down from the Haverhill Road roundabout, and then on the east-west section, and then trying to get as many units as we can off that road running through the heart of the parcel down to the southern principal street. And then again, a big change from the original submission in September, parallel private drives all the way along that principal street, east-west along the southern boundary. That's to make sure that that principal street, as it operates through to the parcels that will come forward later to the east, will operate effectively. Work to design out instances of tandem parking where they were deemed to be likely to create obstacles or interfere with the operation of the highway, and we've increased the amount of visitor parking in this parcel. This is where you've got your first sort of concentration or clustering of affordable houses, and previously we had a cluster to the southern end of this parcel, focused around two small flatted blocks. There's been quite a bit of change since Christmas on this. We've now broken that cluster in two, and the ratio of flats to houses within our overall affordable mix has changed quite substantially. West Suffolk wanted, or were concerned, I think, about the proportion of flats to houses in the original affordable mix. Following discussions with housing officers at the council and consulting with our local RPs working in the district, we have amended the mix. It's set out in the Bidwell's cover letter. The headlines are that where we've had flats before, we've not necessarily reduced the number of flats, but we have changed the mix so that where there was a predominance of 1-bed flats before, there's now a significant predominance of 2-bed flats. And within all of our affordable housing, not just flats, we've now increased the size of all of the units so they meet the brand new national described space standards of the government. But the headlines are there are 11 extra 3- and 4-bed houses now across the scheme. And that's despite the numbers, the headline units dropping to 499. So we have made a significant change to that mix, and you'll start to see some of those larger units, the 3- and 4-bed dwellings for affordable rent and shared ownership. They're coming into the southern half of this cluster. The other big change within parcel A2 is a design change. More links added through the parcel to enable people to walk east, west and north, south through parcel A8 to get to the green corridors, the green spaces and the play spaces that are around this parcel. Because this is obviously going to be a development in a country setting. We're retaining all of that green infrastructure that's there. Essentially the footprints of the field structure and a lot of the green corridor infrastructure that's being retained. We want people to get to it easily from all of the housing. So we've added these extra routes, east, west, north, south, so you can get through the housing and into the pocket park and out to the green edges of the parcel. Pocket parks had a lot of design as well. And we think is going to be very successful. Moving on to A8, please, Sarah, just quickly. A8 is the biggest parcel. It's the most high density parcel, and it's going to have quite a different character to parcels A1 and A2. We're looking at housing here. There's a real mix of housing on this parcel, but at the bigger end, the detached units are really of a slightly smaller sort of top end size. So there is a real spread of family accommodation on this parcel, but the larger units that are on the A1 and A2 parcels are not on this parcel. These are smaller detached family dwellings, but still very generous in size, and contain many of Redrow's most most successful and sought after house types. We're also going to be treating these houses to a slightly different material palette. So whereas the housing on the northern parcel, and this comes out of the design statement, we've had a look very, very carefully at what some of the materials found towards the northern end of the scheme are, and looking at the materials coming on the adjacent development site. There's going to be hues of reds and reds, oranges, multi bricks, and roof colour hues of reds, browns, slates and mixed russets on this southern parcel, where we've had a good look at what the existing design vernacular along Chalkston Way is and the existing estates. You're going to get more render, you're going to get more buff brick, lighter hues and lighter colours coming through in both the brick and the roof types, albeit picking out keynote buildings in some slate, grey, and in some darker tones, just to link in with the vernacular of the Chalkston Way sort of character, if you like. A8, we've looked at so many things in this parcel to really fine tune the quality of the streetscapes. In the centre of the parcel, we've reinstated an east-west shared surface link road, and right in the heart of that parcel, where we've got some affordable housing of a townhouse 3-storey building height, we've looked very carefully at introducing a different material on the street surface, so that when you're there, it's reading as a very, very strongly defined sort of mini character area of its own right. Will feel quite different there to what it will feel like on the perimeter, on the private drives that look out over the woodland and over the edges of parcel A8 and on the southern boundary. The other thing I wanted to raise on A8, if you could, along the southern boundary along Chalkston Way, if you could just toggle back a second, please, Sarah. We were reminded by Penny, and she was absolutely right to do so, back in February it was, that we were yet to demonstrate to her the provision of a new footpath link along the southern boundary of parcel A8, which is required under the outline consent. It actually requires it to be put forward as a publicly adopted public right-of-way footpath link. And the outline plan, parameter plan, sort of indicates that this needed to start down in the southeast corner, where we've got, you'll see, we've got a little sort of private drive. It's where you've got that hollowed white out area of land that Redrow hasn't acquired from the landowner, right down that southeast corner, where we've got our first housing. Running in a westerly direction, we need to provide some form of footway connection that runs along the site frontage in some way, shape or form, and provides a link across the main estate access road by the roundabout and across to the existing public right-of-way that runs north-south down our western boundary. So we've had to give a lot of thought to this, how we're going to integrate it, what it's going to be, how it's going to operate next to the highway, and how we can fit this in successfully. I don't know whether you can zoom in, can you, Sarah, on that? I do want to toggle. It's the next plan over. I don't know whether you can go in there. Zoom in at all for me? Yes, excellent. Okay, if you can come down. This is my final point. I appreciate I've been talking for a while. This is my final point. But I want to give you some comfort that this has been looked at carefully, because we've looked at this several times. Thank you, Sarah. If you can just toggle slightly eastwards. Lovely. Okay, down in that southeast corner, if you consult the drawings, you'll see that our first unit down there is called plot number 76. Immediately to the east of that unit, there's going to be a green corridor and a footway link moving in a northerly direction into our scheme. What we've managed to do is trace a 3-metre corridor immediately running westwards. The first section will run in front of the parallel private drive that runs in front of those units. It will run all the way to the west, and then it will track northwards through that nice green landscaped area, up onto the 3-metre footway cycleway that then runs across to the principal street just north of the roundabout. And then we've added another, it'll run across there. Then there's a drop curb crossing, and it will cross over the principal street, and then it picks up the alignment again across the green frontage and across the existing public right of way. Now, what we've managed to do is we didn't just want this to be open to Chalkston Way, but we were mindful that we wanted people to use it. We were mindful from comments from Councillor Burns that a lot of school children are walking down that road from the nearby school, and we want to make sure they use it. It's not inconvenient, and we don't want them walking along the highway or the highway verge. So we've designed it so that the majority of it is sat behind a new hedge, and we've managed to get it so that you'll have the back of Chalkston Way Road, you'll have the highway curb, then a small highway verge that's existing, which demarcates our red line boundary. We'll then put in a new hedge, and we've worked with our landscape architect to design something that we think is going to be successful, with a mix of varieties to provide year-round interest, but it will also have some structural character to it. So it will be robust for its use, and we've also wanted to make sure that there was a space left in that hedge, so that if you wanted to cross the road to the southern side of Chalkston Way, but you could, there was a sort of cut through, and we've selected a location. We've had a look at Chalkston Way, and halfway between Gannet, the access to, I believe it's Gannet Close, and then further to the west, the access to Falcon. I think it's Falcon Drive or Falcon Close. Falcon Close. Approximately halfway along there, as existing, you've got a very, very small speed table, and then you've got a red post box, and there's a drop curb there that connects to the existing footpath, which is a drop curb to nowhere. It could well be something historic that is being put in by the resident who's got a back garden, and he's clearly, for some reason, sought access to his back garden through some double gates. But there is a long natural drop curb at that point. So if Sarah zooms in onto the landscape drawing on the page after, you will see very clearly we have left a gap in the hedge there, so that if you wanted to cross and not walk the full entirety of the length of that public right of way, you could make access there. And it also is a nice entry point into the scheme from the south. So that seems to be the approach that delivers the east-west connection. The frontage treatment that we've been pressed to come up with is safe and provides multiple points of access for users. And we hope that that's going to be well received. So I think that was the main intervention I wanted to get across for this parcel. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Chris. Right, is there anyone want to ask any questions?
I had my hand up, Pat, as well, but I don't know where Pat's gone.
Pat has left the meeting.
Oh, okay.
I'll just ask a couple of quick ones. It's just the small questions, really. So you talked about obviously you want the county to adopt the roads, and their insistence is that you have necessary tree-lined highways. So what is the fallback position if they won't adopt it? Does that mean, I don't know, less trees or?
No, so we've had to look at this very carefully because there's a conflict at the heart of this, in that West Suffolk and the urban design and landscape officers want attractive streets with trees. They want that for biodiversity, ecology and landscape interest. But the Highway Authority, until recently, were saying if they were within X proximity of roads to be put up for adoption, they wouldn't adopt them. The fallback position would be that Redrow would not put them forward for adoption, and ultimately the cost of maintenance would be falling on the estate residents long term, which isn't an ideal position. There was a definite tone of change when we went back to see the local authority and the Highway Authority in February, when they insisted that that was never their default position, or their not default, that there was never a mandatory position that they would never adopt them. If they did, they would want comfort that we had the right tree pit proposals, such that trees could be successfully maintained, say within 2 or 3 meters of the highway. Secondly, that they were of the right species mix, such that they didn't develop large canopies that would give the Highway Authority maintenance issues. And thirdly, they wanted, and this was a very difficult thing for us to do, and it was quite an expensive commission, they wanted us to do an analysis of the essentially the water potential use of the different species of tree that we're proposing. So trees that would require, a certain amount of water or certain maintenance would not be ones that we'd be putting forward in high volume to go into highway verges, things like that. So we have had a good look at it, and we've come back with a set of proposals that are designed to enable the Highway Authority to adopt all the trees that we're proposing within proximity of the highway. Whether or not all the other aspects and considerations meet their requirements remains to be seen. I spoke with the Highway Authority today, and they're having a good look at it. It could well be that if there are some nitpicky points of adoptability under other standards, that certain streets would be retained as private roads. But the idea is they've been designed to be fully adopted.
So if the cost does fall on the residents, then you probably would want to reduce those costs to the residents by reducing the number of trees. I think that's what I'm getting at.
I get that, but we've had to provide a balance, because if we stripped all the trees out that the Highway Authority by default before were saying they didn't want, we wouldn't have had a scheme that met West Suffolk's design quality threshold as a minimum for them to support the scheme on design and environmental quality grounds. So there was an inherent tension, and Penny Mills has been very clear with us all along that we've had to find the balance. So we've had to try and find that balance.
Again, just not a small point really. Following up on Councillor Burden's question earlier about bungalows, maisonettes, ground floor maisonettes, wouldn't they be an adequate replacement or substitute?
Well, if you want to classify them, we could well do. So obviously there'll be ground floor units of some of the flatted blocks, and we've introduced this new house type called the one-bed maisonette, which certainly has the attributes you're alluding to. So we do feel that people that want, maybe they're on the affordable housing waiting list in this area, that have certain needs and are seeking a smaller house in terms of size, that there is provision on this site for that range of housing need.
Okay. Right. Sorry about that. I've come back. I've swiped you off. Is that Councillor Burns wants to speak? Yeah.
Thank you, Pat. I didn't know whether you were still here with us or not. Okay.
Yeah. I swiped it and I swiped it off.
Okay. Thanks. Thanks, Chris and Sarah for the presentation. I have to say, based on our discussions just before lockdown, this is considerably different, particularly on A8, as you mentioned. Penny and I did discuss this footpath at the southern end of A8 this morning, which I was really pleased to see, because we all know that County Council renegade on the agreement that they gave Tony Brown and myself a few years back to build a whole new footpath all the way from Green Road up to the New Croft, including doing the underpass at West Suffolk School. Obviously, you're doing this, and Penny mentioned that there may be some opportunity to actually complete the footpath, if you like, between the Rovers football ground and your development via S278, I guess,
Yeah.
or one of those strange numbers that people come up with. You mentioned about the A8 colour scheme being more to do with, like, where I live on the Birds Estate here in Kingfisher, or Chalkstone up the road. I wouldn't want it to be such that it becomes just an extension of the two estates. I think it has to be, distinguishable. So, when you do the colour schemes there. The affordable side of things, yes, I was quite surprised at how the affordable had actually dramatically changed. Yeah. Because housing, West Suffolk housing, for a long time have been saying to us that everyone wants 1 and 2 bedroom flats. Well, it's not strictly true. They want 1 and 2 bedroom flats that are geared up for, if you've got a couple with a young kid, you're not going to have to traipse up 3 flights of stairs, which I fully understand. So the A8 footpath I mentioned, yeah, the tree pits, I did look at those earlier on today, and I'm thinking, wow, that's a bit of engineering to do those. Very clever idea. So a couple of things, a couple more questions. Well, my usual one is, if I don't know whether you could do it with your CAD software, whether there's any 3D side of things that can be done easily. I'm not talking about spending lots of money. I'm just talking about converting it into, even if it's not, I'm not talking about fly-throughs. I'm just talking about, just 3D things. As I said, we talk about the link. Now, your A8, the bottom southeastern corner of where plot 76. Obviously, at the moment there is a little bit of a footpath there up to a bus stop. I guess that will join up to that, I'm assuming.
That's right.
Yeah. I know at some point you're obviously going to do the roundabout on Chalkstone, and we mentioned before you're going to put temporary access up by Falcon Close into that to build that thing. And I know Penny did mention the construction management plan has got to be discussed at some point in the future. The only other question I had was, you and I have spoken about it as well, about the lights at the end of Chalkstone Way as part of the S278 again, whether they would be done sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I remember you saying now.
Yeah. And I'll get onto this a bit later in other matters, but I did also speak to Penny about your competitors on the other side of the road. Regarding the Relief Road, I understand there's a few problems with landscaping and everything else, which a county in West Suffolk are not happy about. But obviously, we'd like that built. It's not under your control, of course, but we'd like that built sooner rather than later. And I'm sure you will as well, so you can get things along. So yeah, so really, it's the lights on Chalkstone Way, and whether you've had any discussion regarding extending this footpath up to what's called New Croft. Thank you, Chris.
The lights. Sorry, the lights on Chalkstone Way. I do recall you raising that, John, back in March, and I do apologise. I haven't yet raised that internally, if I'm perfectly honest. So I will do. We'll drop you a line on that this week. Penny's asked us to speak with our friends next door on the Persimmon site about they've got proposals to obviously build their roundabout soon and tie that in. So there's various matters we need to discuss with our engineers. I'll raise that. I'll write to you separately on the. I've got a brain. It's Monday, and for some reason I've had a sharp day today, but my brain's gone, and I've tried to just find whether our units are going to meet lifetime home standards or what category of building regulations that will, in other words, give you your answer on what standard they're built at. I can assure you they'll be built to the required standard, but I can't lay my finger on it at the moment.
That's fine. No, I threw that one at you because I mentioned it to Penny this morning, but.
Yeah. I don't want to guess, and I should know it, but I don't. It annoys me that I don't, but I'll email you in the morning.
Yeah.
And what was the other point?
Whether you're going to be involved at all in the footpath up to
yes.
New Rock.
Yes, I mean, when we designed this, we were also mindful of the fact that this bus stop doesn't actually, there's no bus serving it at the moment, is there?
Not at the moment, but Stagecoach are looking into potentially reintroducing hopper buses around the town using the number 13 bus, which goes between here and Cambridge.
That's right. Well, at the moment, we've essentially proposed that we'll take it to that bus stop.
Okay.
Now, what happens thereafter remains to be seen. We don't have control under the outline consent to do any more work.
No.
But it would seem sensible that there was some form of crossing, or there was something that continued. But I can't say any more at the moment.
No. That's fine. I mean, it's only probably about 10 yards of pavement anyway, we're talking about. Yeah. Okay, thank you, Chris.
Councillor David Smith.
Yeah, just had a thought. I think on the previous plans there was a pocket park that on A8 was off site along the lane, and I wonder if that was still being planned, because I don't remember seeing anything being incorporated on the actual A8 plot.
There's never been a pocket park as such within A8. There's some when you total it up, there is open space. There's provision for open space, but a lot of it is what I would call more structural landscaping on A8. It's particularly along the site frontage, landscaping around the roundabout, and along that edge, the eastern edge that we're looking at here that runs up our boundary. Immediately to the north of parcel A8, to the eastern end of parcel A7, you've got the neighbourhood equipped area of play, which then links to the main sort of central green spine, which runs east-west and then up north. So A8 has been designed very much to tie in with that, and you've got footways, cycleways to take you to it. It's about 70, 80 metres to that neighbourhood equipped area of play to the north. But we've not been able to get a standalone additional pocket park of a landscape form into the centre of this parcel. It just isn't something that you're able to work in.
So that land is still there, then, that play area along the line.
Yes.
It just feels a little bit, what about word? A8 is for like the lower end of the market. It just seems like they're being sort of left out a bit. You see what I mean? You've got one on A1 and A2, but not one on A8, where the houses are more affordable.
Yes, I mean, we never intended to put one on A2, and it came about. It was a suggestion of West Suffolk. Mainly, it came about, if I'm honest, early discussions when the Highway Authority was saying, well, we won't adopt trees within X proximity of the highway, and then West Suffolk's landscape officer saying, well, there's not enough trees in the heart of this scheme. Where are your trees going to be? So we came up with these notion of this sort of pocket park. Had no sort of, when I say no basis on the outline permission, it's an additional delivery coming through from reserve matters. The neighbourhood area and the green landscaping framework was set by the outline consent. So we've put the housing where we've got consent for housing, and I suppose what we could have done to maybe give you the orientation is actually superimpose the green infrastructure and the pocket park on the A8 plan, so you can see quite how close they are. But we haven't done that. It's on the site-wide landscape master plan, which is in the pack. That might be worth referring to.
Okay, thank you.
Right, thank you. Anyone else want to raise anything?
Can I come back on the pocket park, Pat? Yeah, the pocket park, Dave, just for information, goes back probably 15 years when we were doing the density layouts.
Right.
Many years ago, with, well, it was Bidwell's even then, and can't think of the land management company, Hallam's. Somebody, I don't know, I've just lost Alan, I think. That basically, it's really basically the end of the track opposite me is where the park's going to be, down by the green bit of thing and the little thing. So it's not overly far away, and I'm sure people over in these two estates where I live now will probably want to go there, because obviously all our own pocket parks were removed about 15 years ago.
Right.
So I think that's quite a good thing.
That certainly explains where the council got their inspiration from then, because it was something that certainly crept in and became almost a sort of accepted requirement for certainly for A2. So we think they'll be quite successful.
Okay, thank you. Alan Stitchcombe, do you want to, because I can't see you, but do you want to raise anything? No? Right, okay. Right, I've got a few things. I can get them up. Right, on the A2.
Yes.
On the private drive swept sheet, where are the parking allocations for spaces, parking allocation spaces for houses 94 and 95?
Can we just get that drawing up, please, Sarah? Which street are you talking about, Pat? Sorry.
It's on the...
Which side of the scheme is it?
It's A2, the A2 private drive swept sheet. It's called the private drive swept.
Oh, okay. You're looking at the swept, the pathway. This is basically looking at car manoeuvres.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. I've got the access to that on my system. Let me just escape from that and go in. Whilst Sarah's just trying to orientate that drawing for the committee, I'll just go in, Councillor Hanlon, just have a look here.
It's 94 and 95 houses.
Okay.
I can't seem to find them.
Okay. I'm just looking on my system, so I'm just on a parallel screen. It's running on my home broadband. It's a bit slow. Right. A2, private drive, swept path analysis. There are 4 sheets. Do you know if it's sheet 1, 2, 3 or 4?
Ah, you got me now. I don't know.
All right.
I haven't written that down, I'm afraid.
All right. Let me just go in. House number?
It's 94 and 95, both of them.
Okay. So it's not sheet 2. Sheet 3.
I've got it up on the screen now, Chris.
Thank you. Sorry. So you're okay. I found it. So your question is where is the parking for those units?
Yeah.
Directly to the
Parking
front of
spaces.
them. Those spaces there.
Ah, right. I've missed them then. For some
they're
reason.
to the front. So
Right,
the unit
okay.
96 to the north would have a driveway with a garage recessed, and then
Yeah.
to the south of those units, there's a courtyard parking area to the back of the flatted block, and that pair of units just sits with 4 spaces sat to the front, side by
Yeah.
side.
Yeah, it's brilliant actually the way you've because there was loads of them where they was tandem parking, loads of them, and you really sort of taken loads of them away and put them in front of houses, which I was going to suggest.
Yeah.
And I think I suggested it in any case at our last meeting. I can't rightly remember, but yeah, thanks for that. Is there the second question? Is there electric car parking plugs for flats parking? No, obviously there's going to be by 2040. There's going to be no more combustion engine cars driven made, I should say. And I was just wondering if there's any electric plugs for the flats, the people that live in the flats.
They've not been proposed, and I hate falling back and saying it's not a requirement under the present planning permission, because that doesn't mean to say we aren't providing it on that basis. We haven't proposed any at the moment. The experience we've had in other locations where we're putting this infrastructure in, and it's been a planning requirement. It's been most recently required up in East Cambridgeshire for a scheme we've got up at Ely, is that when you talk to the registered provider that you've essentially signed contractual terms with to deliver and sell that affordable housing provision to them, they've had lots of concerns about the maintenance liability for that infrastructure and how in fact that gets passed on as a charge to their residents. So we've not gone down the route of putting that in straight away. There's nothing stopping that being put in at a later date if the registered provider wanted to do that. All of the private units, or the units that will be going on for private sale, they would, as an optional extra, come with that type of infrastructure, and all of them are built to enable that upgrade to be made. We haven't yet got to that point where we're putting that in as a standard aspect of our schemes. I'm sure it will come in time, but on this site, it's not been proposed at this stage.
Okay, and it's a bit unfair that the houses obviously they got garages with electrics in, and they can easily charge their cars, but
Yes.
people living in flats haven't got that problem. Obviously, there'd be electric wires going all underneath because of going to the flat. So, as you say, that must be. It's a shame though that it's not being put in as they're being built. But,
no, one of the things I do know is, however, that as we've been working with the landowner, and you mentioned other names like Hallam, who have had involvement with the promotion of this site, and we've been working with Bidwells. We've had to look at, there's work going on in the background to look at services and provision for this site. And as part of our discussions with the service providers, we've wanted to make sure that there's the drawdown capacity for that type of infrastructure at this site. So the network that's going to be put in will have the load capacity to take that type of future infrastructure. So everything that's put into this site will be able to accommodate that. It's just not currently shown as part of these detailed proposals. That's not to say that on later parcels that come forward by Redrow and others on phase 2 that you won't start to see that coming in. But at the present moment, the capacity will be there, the upgrade provision will be there, and you may well see that come forward.
okay, right. Thanks for that. The next one is what dimensions are the parking spaces, especially tandem ones, because when I was up on the your opposition, when I was up there, that I noticed that they've got a tandem ones up there, and when you get quite a long car, and then another one parks in front that's quite long as well, they tend to nose out onto the footpath. So I was, is it because cars seem, even electric cars seem to be getting bigger and bigger? Well, I suppose it's because of the batteries, but these cars wasn't electric, but they were quite big, large, long cars. So is your size of the parking spaces up to standard?
Yes, it is. It meets the requirement of the technical parking standards which have been adopted by West Suffolk, and that will be across all of these parcels.
Okay, thank you. On the next one, I think is A1 on the A1 illustrated landscape master plan.
Yep.
If you can find that for me. Trees, as you come out of the drive onto the main road, there's 2 trees, one on one side and one on the other. And I'm just thinking, are they going to be quite large trees? Because looking at the plans, and obviously you can't really go by just looking at the plans, but if they grow, if they're trees that are very tall and branch out, I'm just wondering if they block the sight of people coming out of that driveway. A1 illustrated landscape master plan it is.
Yep, I'm just looking at its drawing 253. Let's have a look. Well, if you like these tree pit details, this drawing shows you some tree pits. There you go. We're proposing what is that? They're proposed to be Acer campestras. Now I'm not a specialist horticulturalist, so I would have to defer to the technical details that are with those planting plans. But I mean, we would want them to have a bit of size so that I mean, this is the gateway entrance. It's on the Spine Road, and we're quite keen that this has got quite a high quality sort of landscape feature to it. They'll be well set back from the junctions. We've had to demonstrate that they won't encroach into the visibility space at that junction. So we would have put the effort into carefully selecting that species type for that location.
Okay. Right, thank you. And the last one is the 4-bedroom in the Cambridge, which is the Cambridge plan, or whatever, is very close to the 1-person bedroom size minimum standard of 6.51 meters. This is by rule of thumb that I've done it from the plans.
Right.
So I'm wondering if it's less than that, less than the 6.51 square meters. Is the Cambridge area the forgive me if are they the affordable housing, the Cambridge one?
No, that's
because that's quite small because usually when they build these affordable housing now, when you or builders build affordable housing, they tend to squeeze the rooms to the minimal, and this one seems to be very close to the minimal size of 4th bedroom.
Yeah, I'm into the floor plan of that unit now. No, that's a 4-bedroom detached house, which is in our sort of private development collection. So it is the 4th bedroom. It's shown as being a 1-person bedroom. So we've not shown furniture of any detail in it, but it's shown to accommodate a single as opposed to a double bed. I mean, essentially, as we're not bound by the National Space Standard requirement for the private or the affordable dwellings. We've obviously provided for the affordable because we think that's the right thing to do, and it's the feedback we've had from West Suffolk and the RPs locally that is really going to be necessary in this location. But I would say, you know, it will be it's a similar size to some of the larger 3-bed units. So the likely purchaser of that type of unit would either be looking for maybe a small single 4th bedroom, or as a sort of study come additional room. So it'll be sold as a 4-bed. It's quite clearly can accommodate you know, the requirements of a 4th bedroom, but it would be, you know, obviously you know, to suit requirements and tastes of people in the market for a house of that size.
So, but what I was thinking as well, because that is very, very small. What is it? 2 meters by 3 meters, which is, you know, by the time you've got a bed in there, there's not much else you can put in there, sort of thing. So, you know, I was thinking, will that be saleable for you to, you know, people that might put people off that are looking for a 4-bedroom. No, I'm just wonder why, you know, you try to go to the minimum standard really on that particular 4th bedroom. Yeah, that's what I had to do.
I mean, I would say it's about. I'm looking at the 1 to 100 scale in the drawing. I could find out the size tomorrow. I would say it's probably 3 meters by 3 meters, which I think's adequate for a 4th bedroom or a study.
Yeah, because the minimum standard is sort of 2 meters by, or just over 2 meters by 3 meters, sort of.
Yeah, I think it's about 3 by 3, that 4th bedroom.
Right. Okay. So it's just that I'm a sticker for very, very small. You know, I hate very small rooms, bedrooms or whatever. It's awful trying to put people into very small spaces like that. It's not fair. Right. Thank you for that. Right. Shall I go back to? Does anyone else want to say anything? No. Right. Thank you very much, Chris and Sarah.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting us along.
It's very good of you to come, and it's been very good. Right, thank you very much. Right, we'll let you go now if you want to, and I expect you will. You can stay on if you choose, but I don't think you will. So anyway, thanks very much for coming. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Yeah, thank you. Bye bye. Right, Vicky, we can go back to the agenda now, which is DC 20 0933 TPO, 1 Beach and 3 Copper Beach, T1, T2 on plans, and T1, T2, T4 and T5 on order. Reduce height by 3 meters and raise crown to provide clearance over property by 2 meters. These have got photos with them as well. Is there any comments? Anyone want to say anything? No? Okay. Right. Is this a neutral then? Can I have a proposal for neutral? Right, Councillor Liz Smith and Councillor Alan Stitchcombe. Okay, all those in favour, please show. Thank you very much. Right, item 2, which is DC 20 0996 FUL. This is 40 High Street. Convert existing shop class A1 into 2 units and change of use existing 1st floor storeroom to form a dwelling, class 3. Right, is there any comments on this? Councillor Stitchcombe?
This is right up your street because the bedroom in flat 2 is 2.3 meters wide, taking it off the scaled drawing. and by 3 meters to the door, because an awful lot of it is built-in wardrobe. I don't know whether you count that as part of the room or not, but you know, if
Yeah,
you,
I'm afraid you do.
okay, all right, well, then it's 6.9 square meters, but you know, it's a bit of a rabbit hutch, isn't it, really?
Yeah,
But I guess it's legal.
yeah, it is. Yeah, as I've just commented before. Hold on, is there any Councillor Liz Smith?
Yeah, when I was looking at the plan, I couldn't really measure it on the scale that I was using. I was doing it on my phone actually when I was looking. So I don't know if anyone else has measured it, but even the living area seemed particularly small. I think you'd only get about 1 sofa in, I think, or something like that, and hardly any leg room. So the actual living area as well was very, very small.
Yeah, the minimum standard I was saying, and I obviously heard that it's just 1 person can fit in that room. So is this, can someone, because I can't remember now, is this a 1 person flat?
Yeah, I think it was just one bed. 1 bed,
right?
Mm.
Right. Is there anyone else?
Can I chip in?
John Burns. Sorry, Councillor Stitchem.
That living area is not a separate room. It's continuous with the dining area. There's a dashed wall, which means it's an opening formed in the existing wall with a joist over the top. So if they sat on the sofa in their living area and stretched their legs out, you know, their legs won't hit the wall opposite. It'll be poking out in towards the dining table as shown.
Oh, okay.
Councillor Burns and then Councillor Brown.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, thanks, Pat. I think someone just said it's a 1-bedroom place. Yes, it is, but it's a 1-bedroom, 2-person flat, I think, because of the size of the bed is showing as if it's a double bed.
Well, that's too small then, isn't it? That room?
Yeah, well, the existing flat, if you look at the photos that the applicant has put in, it's never been particularly big anyway, above the shop. Obviously, someone lives there at the moment, perhaps quite happily, but it is quite small anyway. But the trouble is, it's and also if you look at the outside, you know, obviously it's got all that bin storage next to AXA there. It's difficult to actually calculate it. You know, I haven't put a tape measure across it or printed it off and done a tape measure. I don't know if anyone else has. But to me, it looks extremely small compared to minimum space standards. But of course, we haven't adopted minimum space standards, so there's nothing really we can do about it.
Mm.
Yeah, that definitely needs to change. We'll have to do something if we can, possibly. Councillor Brown.
Yeah, cheers, Chair. To be fair, I think, you know, if you actually look at the pictures, as John said, that is nothing more than an old stock room. It's tiny. You can see where that bedroom is going to be, and it's to be fair, it's appalling, and I don't think we should support it in any way, even though we haven't got a minimum space standards. I still think, you know, we should object.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely tiny. It looks like they are going to put a window in there, but it's just still absolutely tiny. You know, I wouldn't like to put someone in there. Yeah, I'd like to propose that we object.
Thank you for that. Councillor Greeny.
Just thinking about the shop division, can we make a comment that delivery should be made to the rear and not the front?
Yep, good point. Because there'll be 2 shops, won't there?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what I've got up. I don't think I've. Car parking I've got up. But they're saying that it goes into the council car park, doesn't it? They can park in the council car park. Councillor Burns.
Yeah, well, this is where highways are going to say, oh, it's in a sustainable location again, because every single, sorry, the printer's going. Every single new development in the high street now, they say you can use the existing parking or walk, you know, on Shanks's Pony, as it were. I didn't like the fact that they said, oh, we can possibly park in the AXA bit next door. You know, that is actually owned by somebody. I think it's owned by the West Suffolk Council now, I believe. They can't just, you know, it's a bit like the flats that they wanted to put in AXA a couple of years ago. They can't claim that a car park belongs to them and, you know, say, well, we're going to park there. They may have done for a number of years, but it doesn't give them the right, of course.
Okay. Right. Anyone else? Councillor Brown?
Yeah, on the proposed objections on the size of the flat, it's a bit of a hard one. It's as well because I actually support the redevelopment downstairs and a division of that shop into two. I think it makes a lot more viable. Say I fully support what they're doing to the shops downstairs, but it's just the size of that flat upstairs. Yeah.
And can I add to that, Councillor Brown, about the parking, please, as well?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Totally. Yeah.
Right. So let's. Councillor Brown is proposing them two things, plus obviously the comment about the two shops, which I fully support as well. Better chance of getting people into them shops than it standing empty as it is. Right. Is there any other comments on that at all?
Dave.
Yeah, Councillor Dave Smith and then Councillor Burns.
Yeah, if we're going to object to any part of it, we've got to object to the whole of it. I don't think you can make a comment that you welcome the development of the shop, but I don't see how you can.
I said the comment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Councillor Burns.
Yeah, rough calculation using, assuming that they are meters in that scale at the bottom. It's about 27 square meters.
What, the room or the whole
well,
lot?
Actually, no, because you've got to exclude the landing, the fire escape. I would argue. So it's probably best getting down towards about 20 square meters.
Do you know the minimum size standard for a whole?
And I knew you could ask that. I knew you could ask that.
I always do, because I keep forgetting.
Standards. 1 bedroom, 2 persons. Let's see.
35 seems to stick in my mind for some reason.
Yeah, I think you're right. Of course, we haven't adopted them anyway, so it's a bit of irrelevant. So when 1 bedroom, 2 person flat on a 1-story dwelling is 50 square meters. And it's 39 for a 1 bedroom, 1 person.
So that's still way below that, isn't it?
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I couldn't.
It's best us to flag that up, to put that as a comment, because I think that flag it up for the housing. What's her name? I can't think of her name. She always gives the comments on room sizes, don't she? Oh no, Karen. No.
Karen Cattle.
Sorry.
Karen Cattle.
No. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's her.
Yeah, she's environmental health, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, she always comments on them, on that room size standards, doesn't she? Right, Vicky, have you got that? Yeah?
Yeah, I have. Yes, thank you. I just need a seconder.
Right.
But only proposing that we welcome the redevelopment of the shop downstairs, but we object to the planning application on the size of the flat. It's far too small. And issues with the parking, saying that they're using AXA car park. There was another thing. Did I pick that? Did I imagine that. No, anyway, we need a seconder for parking and the size of the flat.
I don't think there was anything else, was there?
No, okay. I might just imagine it.
Councillor Smith? You put your hand up.
I'll second it. That's fine.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
Right, okay. Sorry, Alan, I saw her put her hand up. I know you put your hand up. I saw her as I was swiping screens.
Okay,
right,
thank you.
okay. All those in favour, please show. Okay, yeah, everyone. Thank you very much for that. Right, the next one is DC 200766HH, which is conversion of existing garage and rear extension to form annex 1 Munnings Close. Is there any comments on that? Let's just see if I can find. I don't think I've got anything on that one. Where have I? Oh yeah, this I have. Yeah, sorry. Stacking of 2 cars. Nothing about taking the front hedge down for the 3rd stacking car, because it's a 3 or 4 bedroom it's going to be now, and because this in Munnings Close, there's no way that they can park on street. Because you know, if you look on Google, which I did, Google Earth, there is a front garden there, and the cars have got to stack because it's a very thin driveway to the garage, and I don't think there's even enough room for, even with, if they build onto the front garden, for a 3rd car. Does there anyone want to comment on anything? Councillor Smith?
Yeah, when I looked at it, I thought that they implied they would just fit 3 into their private parking area, or 3 cars. I think when on the application it read that way, that's what they were going to do. And I welcome the conversion because it obviously is to enable sort of disabled access to a member of the family. So I welcome the actual conversion of the annex in that respect. As I say, for the parking, looking at the layout plan, the new layout plan, they've only put 2 cars on there, but then when they said on the application form, they suggested there was going to be space for 3. I don't know, but I would welcome the application because it's making it easier for the person that lightly disabled that is there.
Councillor John Burns, thank you, Liz.
Yeah, thanks, Pat. Yeah, I mean, it does say, I mean, once again, they've haven't really used the right application form, but anyway, 1 less parking, or at least parking off road for 3 vehicles. I had a struggle actually understanding where those parking spaces will be. But more importantly, I think it's worthwhile adding a comment, because this isn't a conversion to an annex, that it must remain an annex to the main house. It cannot be eventually subdivided, although it'd be quite small, of course, into a separate residence in terms of, you know, its own council tax and everything else like that. It should always be an annex.
Yeah, I've got a granny flat where the granny died, and apparently they've moved out now, but the person that lives in the granny flat has been left there. So it's really, yeah, it's that's what I'm saying. That does happen. I don't think we could stop that personally. Even if you put it in writing, I don't think, because no one's there to police it, you know, because obviously this was done a few years back.
You can stop subdividing it into a separate accommodation.
Yeah, well, they've done that with Granite Flat in any case, because that was a garage and they converted it.
But
know, so-
there's property up Bumstead Road where they did exactly the same thing.
Mm.
And the condition of planning is that it can never be separated out into two separate residences.
Yeah, well, that has happened. You know, it's proven in this case in my road. They've moved out, but they've left the person in the granny flat. So, so whoever's gonna have it, or they sold that. You know, they might have that granny flat as part of their agreement. You know, even though they've moved. So it's you know, it's something I don't think we can stop, even if we put. Which is it's great. That, yeah, I certainly agree that should be put in there. But as the trouble is with this money's close is that it's very, very thin. You can't possibly park on the road because the other people wouldn't have access to their houses because it's so thin. Right. Okay. Is there any other person want to comment at all? No. Okay. Right. Have you got them comments, Vicky?
Yeah, so what are you proposing? Is this a neutral or are you objecting?
Yeah,
Or are you supporting
I'm
and
very
welcoming
reluctant
the-
to object to it, even though I'm worried about the parking side of it. But I personally think, I don't know what the others think, I think it should be neutral with comments about the parking. It seems, a couple seem to be nodding. Is there anyone else? I'm going to propose that.
And second, Liz.
Second, yep, Councillor Liz Smith.
Thank you.
Right, all those in favour, please show.
Thank
Right,
you.
okay, thank you everyone. Thanks for that. Right, item 7 now.
No, item 4, was that?
Oh, we've got no, oh, 4, sorry. Which is DC 200689 HH, single story rear and side extension, following demolition of outbuilding. This is in 40 Hamlet Road. Councillor Skitcham.
Sorry, I was struggling to unmute there. This is Jason's really, and he's not here, is he? He objected to this, if I remember, back in May. And we've come back with a renewed application. Am I right that all they've done is remove the garage that was broadside on to Croft Lane? They've just trimmed it down. But is that to meet our objection or just because they wanted to put in an alternative application? Don't understand.
Yeah, what I've got on my notes is they have cut down because they've took that garage away, which I think that he was objecting to because of the look of it. So they've taken that garage away, and all they've got now is, which he did have, was an extended kitchen with shower and toilet. And I think that's it. I think that's all they've got now. Correct me if I'm wrong, anyone. I think that's all there is.
I think the cladding, was it the black cladding that Jason didn't like, wasn't it really? That's still going to be there all over the place, but there will be a fence that screens a fair bit of that. So that you won't have the garage with this horrible black cladding right up against Croft Lane. You'll have a fence and then some black cladding on whatever is behind it, you know. So I'm not sure it really removes our objection.
Okay, thanks for that. Councillor Brown?
Yes, thanks, Chair. It seems to me that they've done, it looks different from, I think that, a lot of it was what it looked like from Hamlet Road as well. I mean, to be fair, no one really ever goes up Croft Lane. I mean, how many people here have ever been up Croft Lane? I think I've been up there, I've lived in town 59 years. I think I've been up there 3 times, and one of those, I think I was, got lost on the way home from a night out. So, yeah. No, to be fair, I think they've made some changes. Personally, I'm quite happy with that.
Okay. Anyone else? No. Right. Is that a neutral then, Councillor Brown?
Yeah, that's what I'm proposing. I propose a neutral.
Right. No.
Pat, I was just going to say something quickly.
Councillor Smith, yeah.
Yeah, I think the is it the one, if you're looking up Croft Lane, is it the house immediately to the left?
That's it.
Yeah. Well, it seems to be quite covered in trees and that anyway, so I couldn't really see that the cladding would be a problem. And as you say, unless you're going up Croft Lane. So I think from the Hamlet Road perspective, I couldn't see that there was going to be any problem with it anyway. So yeah, I would say neutral on that one. Thank you.
Can I have a seconder then for that, please?
Thank you.
Councillor Smith. Right, okay. All those in favour, please show. Okay, thank you very much. Right, it's a lot of the planning, isn't it?
Well, you didn't actually comment on the Red Row one. So you heard their comments, but you didn't actually comment.
Yeah, that's the point. Yeah. Actually, we should have done that. I should have done that while they was here. Oh, never mind. Right. Okay. Is what we got, because I'm sort of I feel that obviously with the plugs they satisfied everything I'd done, even with the plugs and whatever in the trees. So is there anyone that wants to say anything on this? Because I'm neutral myself personally.
Could we just make the comment about we would like to have seen the affordable houses have electric charging points for cars to make them future proof, or some sort of provision. We can make it as a comment. It doesn't mean how much weight it carries, but
yeah,
at least just like to make the comment. That's all.
It's the one with the flats, really. That it's just unfair that everyone that lives in the house can have these electric plugs, but people that live in flats can't, and that is so unfair.
Yeah, we could just make some sort of comment around that, about provision for all residents. Yeah.
Is there any other comments on that, Councillor Smith?
Wouldn't we normally say support this, because obviously we support this development rather than just neutral? I was just wondering whether or not it's something we obviously firmly support the development or not.
I know Councillor Davison was shaking his head for some reason. Do you want to comment on that, Bruce?
I'd like to comment.
No, we can't hear you, Bruce, I'm afraid. Sorry.
Tony's
you had the same problem as my laptop.
Yeah.
Only it was the other way around with me. I couldn't hear anyone.
Yeah.
Pat, Tony's waving.
Right. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks again,
Pat. Brown.
Yeah. I would like just to say that we're neutral on this because, to be fair, in outline, I personally objected, to this around sustainability issues, transport provision, bus provision, a whole plethora of different reasons. I objected to this outline planning permission. Okay. I lost the vote on that, but to be fair, I don't think we should actually say that we're supporting it, because there's lots of issues. It's just around sustainability, healthcare, etc., etc., etc. So it's gone through outline. I think we should just say we're neutral on it as it is. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you for that. Councillor Dave Smith, are you on the pocket park? Was you satisfied with what you said about the pocket park?
Well, it was never on the plans anyway, actually, on this plot, was it? It was the fact that it was off site. He said like 70 or 80 yards up the lane. I just wondered if it was fair that that particular plot, which is more for affordable homes, is sort of like seen as the poor relation compared to the other two. But I don't think there's anything I could object on.
Right. Yeah, you're right. It's not fair, is it? You're quite right, really, on that. Councillor Burns?
Yeah, just want to say the park that is going up the lane, as it were, towards Willsey Farm is much more than a pocket park. It's a full-blown park with, you know, swings and whatever modern things that are done these days. So I never understand what they're called, but
fitness thing.
Whatever happened to seesaws and roundabouts and things? I don't know.
Is that far away? Is that quite a distance? Or
No, it's only if you go across the track from me down to Willsey Farm, where it does an S-bend. It's just basically about the bottom of the S-bend, just beyond the suds for the Green Road site.
Oh, right.
It's not far.
Right. Yeah.
It's the designation of it being like either a neighbourhood play area or a local play area. It doesn't actually have to be on the site, so that's the thing.
That's right.
Okay. So you don't want that included then, Councillor Smith? No? No? Right, okay. Right, so can I have a proposer for that neutral and that comment that Councillor Brown said? Right, it's Councillor Brown propose. Any seconder? Councillor Dave Smith? Okay, all those in favour, please show. Anyone against? I've done that because I didn't see all the hands up.
All in favour, Pat.
Right. Oh, was that right? Because I have to keep swiping, so I might have missed it. Right. Okay. Right. Thank you very much. If I can get my laptop to work. Item 8, which is matters to report. Has anyone got any matters to report? Councillor Burns?
Yeah, sorry, me again. I've got a whole shebang here, so you'll have to excuse me. It might be a bit disjointed. This is following on from my discussion with Penny this morning. She's going to talk to the planning officer about the Lidl footpath, because as far as they were concerned, they were objecting to the existing footpath alongside Lidl's. That planning application is still in, they call it pending decision. The most of it was about Northwest Haverhill. Apparently she wrote quite a lengthy critique of the two applications that are in at the moment. I think it's 614, 615, I think it was, something like that. One was for infrastructure and the other one was phase 2. And also, well, first of all, she mentioned about the relief road. Apparently there's quite a few concerns regarding the landscape for the Leaf Road from West Suffolk. So they're actively looking into that as a priority, because they know and they want the relief road built as soon as possible. So that's that one. The infrastructure planning application, and I did ask her if it's all right to mention any of this, and she said not a problem. Apparently there's so many things wrong with it. She did wonder whether they may withdraw it and resubmit it. It doesn't meet any of the requirements. The housing one, the north part.
Sorry, John, I'm sorry to come back in.
Yeah.
Can you say the beginning of what was it? I missed it for some reason. That last one.
The last one was about the infrastructure planning application for Northwest.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, obviously the roads and everything else. Apparently there's so many things wrong with it that it doesn't meet any of the outline permission, the master plan or anything like that. So
what is that? The way the roads go, or Did she say specifically
Everything.
what it was?
Everything. Highways, I don't know if you've seen the latest, Highways have commented on both ones, and I think they've written about 3 pages of comments on it. It's worthwhile reading as well.
I will do that.
So yeah, they think she was wondering whether they may, because it's so wrong, may actually pull it and resubmit it. The housing application, there's 2 parts of it with a road split into 2. The northern part of it, she said there's not a lot wrong with the northern part. It does meet most of it. The southern part is the one they've got major concerns with, particularly with things like the 4-storey flats. And it just apparently it doesn't meet most of the requirements.
Yeah, because on that one they changed it, didn't they, to from the north, and they put it to the south.
That's right.
Part of the plans, didn't they?
Right, but in fact, it's the 4-storey wherever it goes was never part of the original outline and design statement. So they're not happy about that. Full stop.
Right.
Now, the one thing that she is looking into more than thing, and Tony scratching, I couldn't remember totally, and I thought I videoed it, but I didn't. I maybe got an audio recording of it. Was the outline plan permission, which was given in, I think it was 2015, which is about the connection to Anne Suckling Road. According to Penny, the outline permission specifically states that Anne Suckling Road will be connected to this development, not just for buses. But I said, well, I don't think that was ever the case. I'm sure I can't remember when I was on planning or not at St. Ed's. I know it came up, and I'm sure it was always said that there would be no connection from either that. The one from Howe Road is definitely only a bus gate. It's not a through traffic side of things. So they're looking into that.
On that, I can't remember one going into it and Suckling, because I can't see the point in that, really.
Don't forget, Pat, Anne Suckling was originally going to be the relief road.
I agree, but that didn't say that because that was the relief road in the old days, that there was going to be a new part put in with it joining Anne Suckling, because I can't remember it being, because it's, what's the use of putting it into Anne Suckling? All it creates is more traffic in Anne Suckling.
Well, that's what I said to her.
To nowhere.
I said, I mean, getting into Anne Suckling is not a problem. It's getting out of Anne Suckling onto Ratting Road is the big problem.
Yeah.
So
perhaps that's why. Perhaps that's why they're thinking.
Okay, basically, Pat, what she's doing, she's talking to Highways to get some evidence, one way or the other, what was decided back in 2015, and also looking at the original application for the outline, which of course, she can't actually easily access because she, can't get into West Suffolk House, and a lot of the stuff has been archived as well into a warehouse somewhere. But she's looking into that anyway. But she does understand the concerns. It won't actually make it a rat run, but it will make a lot more traffic on Anne Suckling, which could cope with it. But it's I said, well, in the morning in the rush hour, trying to turn right out of Anne Suckling into Ratting Road is a nightmare.
Yeah, I can imagine. The only thing they might be thinking of is that cars, instead of queuing up, they turn left into the new estate and get out that way, either to the Ratting Road or the other way. They use the new estate as a rat run.
No, the only thing would be is if you forced Anne Suckling to be left-hand turn only onto Ratting Road and force you to go up to the roundabout and come back on yourself. But why should you inconvenience existing people? You've got that other road that goes into the new estate, Beavis Close, which was never on the master plan.
Yeah.
There's no left turn restriction. No right turn restriction out of there. Why would you do it on Anne Suckling?
True. Good point.
I think that was all. Did you get all that, Becky?
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's fine. That's fine. Sorry about that. I'm just having a look at my scribbles. I think that was it. I already mentioned about Great Willesey.
Yeah.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Anybody else? No? Thank you very much. Right, the next meeting will be on Monday, the 13th of July.
Which is today. So the next
Oh.
meeting is the 11th of August.
See, that's the trouble when you cut and paste, Vicky, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
You mean it's not signed at 9 o'clock tonight?
7 minutes.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's all right, no problems. Right, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
And see you at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Have you terminated